Hi guys, welcome to my channel Lush Gardener. I hope you guys are fine and are safe. So guys, today is going to be a slightly different video. As you can see, I have some gardening tools on my table, and of late we have been talking so much of Crassula. I'm sure you might have got bored, so I thought I'll get you something new. So guys, these are my new gardening tools that I've ordered from Amazon. If you want to purchase these tools, I will put the link in the description below. You can check it out. But I'm sure you would like to know how to use and what are their functions before purchasing them. Hence, I'm making this video. So by the end of the video, you will be able to understand how to use these equipments. Now, they're pretty simple, but there are certain equipments that could be a little tricky to understand. So that is why I'm setting up this video. Now, guys, definitely not all of these tools would come handy for succulents, but majority of them will. Because I'm pretty sure that succulents are not the only plants that you have been growing. You even have foliage plants. So definitely those tools will come handy. But in this video, I'll be only sharing the tools that are required for succulents. So let's quickly start with the video. I'll show you each tool and its function. So the first one is all-time favorite, and that is a cutter. Now guys, if you're growing succulents, I'm sure you're always on the go of propagating them, stem cutting, beheading. So this cutter is going to come into use. Now guys, it's very easy to use. It's lightweight, very sleek, and very comfortable to use. If you have seen me, I've always used scissors, but this is something that I wanted to add in my gardening tool. So it's pretty simple to go ahead and give it a cut for the stem cutting, for beheading. Even if you have a stem rot or a root rot, this is going to work excellent. But always remember, whenever you're doing a cutting or whenever you're using this cutter, ensure that the blades are sterilized before giving a cut. So guys, you can see how easily it tends to cut off the stems. It gives a very clean and a smooth cut, and you do not need to put in a lot of efforts. Now, because the blade, the cutter is very sleek, it can easily get into any of the arrangements, especially if you have a very compact arrangement. With the help of this cutter, you can easily do stem cuttings, or you can even do a beheading. Now, please don't get carried away with this cutter. Do not go ahead and start cutting all your succulents. And another important thing, after the cutting has been done, the succulent and the pot should be away from any kind of moisture and water. Now, the next gardening tool looks quite different. It looks like something that belongs to your kitchen. I know you might be tempted to have a quick snack while you're doing your gardening, but please don't use this fork for your cut fruits. This is meant for gardening. So the flat side of the spatula that you see is basically to loosen the soil. Now what happens is, most of the time the succulents are slightly stiff and firm in the soil, especially if they have been really healthy and the roots are very healthy. Then at times the succulent tends to be slightly stiff and firm in the soil. So with the help of this spatula, you have to loosen the soil, but be extremely careful that you do not damage the roots. Just be very gentle. Do not put in a lot of pressure on the gardening tool as well as into the soil, otherwise you might happen to damage the roots. So very gently just loosen the soil from all the sides, and very soon the succulent will get tucked out of the soil. And once you feel that the succulent is loose, then you take the other side of the gardening tool and just hold the stem of the succulent and slowly tuck it out. Now guys, this tool is very important for succulents that have a lot of farina, because as we said, we must never touch succulents that have farina, otherwise the farina will get disturbed. So this tool works out really well. So even without touching the succulent with your fingers, you can very easily tuck out the succulent. Now the best part about these gardening tools are, most of these gardening tools are made out of plastic, so it's very easy to clean. This spatula was completely dirty with soil, and now you can see how clean it is. So it's very easy to clean after use. So the next gardening tool that we have is a soil collector. This basically will come into use. Very important, especially when you are doing a repotting and you want to fill a pot with soil. So this is going to be very useful. Now guys, over here I have a thermocol container that I'll be reusing as a succulent planter. Now I have made couple of drain holes and I'll be adding soil to it. So guys, for my first column I'll be using dry soil, because I just cut my sedum adolphi. They have not calloused, so for that reason I'll be just using dry soil in my first column. Now what happened is, while I was making this video, it was very sunny and then it suddenly started raining, so I had to move to a different balcony. So because my sedum adolphi is not calloused, I will just lay them on the dry soil. Now guys, I don't have any more dry soil because of the rain. All my soil got wet and I do not have any spare dry soil, so I'll have to work with this. So I'll start putting in all the soil in the columns. Now guys, this is the same spatula, the flat spatula. I can use it to level up the soil. This will basically reduce the air pockets in the soil. So whenever you put the soil, with the help of this spatula, you can just push the soil down and level it up. With this, the air pockets will be released from the soil. Now guys, whenever you're working with these gardening tools, just slightly moisten the soil, because the next tool that we are going to be using, this is basically to make a dent or to make a cavity in the soil. So it's going to be very easy to put the succulent in with the roots. So very gently just twist and turn the tool and you will get a cavity. So now all you have to do is just push your succulent in, and after that you can just put the soil back again. So it's very simple. As you can see, doesn't take a lot of effort, but for this you will have to maintain a little bit of moisture. Do not keep it soggy wet. So all you have to do is just twist and turn and you will get this cavity in the soil, and then you can just add your succulent with the roots. So it's very simple, very easy. You do not need to do or put in a lot of effort. So in this way the succulent will get secured in the soil. Again, another succulent as well. Just push the tool into the soil and just turn it, and you will have a space wherein you can put the roots. And the other side of the tool, you can just use that to tuck the roots into the cavity. So guys, as you can see, it's very simple, very easy to use these tools. And once the roots are set in, just slowly tuck the succulent into the soil. Now all these were pretty easy because these had very small roots, so it was much easy to work with. But what about succulents that have a slightly larger root ball? Then you don't have to be worried. Just try to make a slightly bigger cavity in the soil so that you can add the entire root ball. Now guys, it's not necessary that you have to push the succulent roots too deep into the soil. As I said, the succulent roots do not run too deep into the soil. They're usually in the mid-level or in the upper mid-level of the soil. So it's not necessary that you have to push the roots too deep into the soil. Now guys, with the help of this fork, because this fork has a very flat surface at the end, so that can be used to tuck the succulent and to make the succulent slightly firm into the soil. Now as you can see, the succulent is already very firm into the soil. That's because at the end of these fork, there is a very flat surface that tends to push the roots or tends to level up the soil. So with this, it becomes much easy to tuck the succulent into the soil. Now you can see the succulent is perfectly fixed into the soil, and that's all. So now 90% of our succulents are already in the soil. They have all been repotted, even though these chambers were really small, but we were efficiently able to use the tools. Now guys, this is my Francisco Baldi. I won't be putting it into the soil because it needs to callus. As I said, it rained and the soil is wet, so I won't take the risk of putting it into the soil. Now you can see guys, it's already sunny again. It was raining and now it's sunny again. That's how the climate is. So this is another tool. This is much narrow. Now this is basically for plants that don't have, or for the succulents that do not have a very thick stem. So this tends to work out really well. So for this, I'm using my pendant succulents. These have very thin stems, so it becomes very easy to put these guys with the help of this narrow tube. So you can see guys, all of these gardening tools have one or more uses, so it becomes really easy to use these, especially when you're doing a repotting, or especially when you're making an arrangement. These gardening tools will come very handy, and I'm very happy and satisfied with these gardening tools. They are very tiny, very easy to store, and it works out really well for your succulent arrangements. And you can see we are completely done with this setup. So as you can see, with the help of these gardening tools, it was so much easy to pot all these succulents. The entire process was very smooth. Now guys, there are still some more tools that are left. I'm going to show you those as well. Now over here we have this another gardening tool. This is basically for top dressing, or in case if you want to refill a little bit of more soil into the pot. At times what happens after potting the succulent, we realize that the soil is still very less and we want to add in a little bit more of soil. So this is where the gardening tool will come handy. All you have to do is just fill it up with soil and very gently just put it around your succulent. Now over here we do not use the blue container because that is slightly wider, and you might end up dropping a lot of soil on the succulent. So this is a slightly narrow kind of a tool wherein it helps you put the soil exactly where you want. So basically when we used the tool to make cavity into the soil, at times after you have put the succulent into the soil, the cavity might have been open. So if you want to add in a little bit more of soil, to close that cavity in the soil, then this gardening tool is going to work out really well. So I have gone ahead and put in all the soil wherever I felt that there was a cavity. I have gone ahead and filled up some more soil with the help of this gardening tool. So these were all the gardening tools that I have used for making this setup. Now again, there are another 3 to 4 tools which I'll also show, but they are related with watering and cleaning. That is basically for the maintenance purpose those gardening tools have been used. So let me quickly show you what I'm talking about. So luckily the rains have stopped, the sun is back, so it's time to continue with the video. Now over here I have a puffer. So this is basically to blow out any kind of dust, soil or water droplets from the succulents. Especially after repotting, you might end up dropping some soil on the succulent accidentally, and then you just use this puffer. So this basically is made out of rubber, so it's a recoiling rubber. So whenever you press, the air is going to come out through the plastic tube and it will blow off any kind of dust, dirt or even water droplets of the succulent. Now guys, this is very important product in the gardening tool because this is very handy. I use this as well as at times I use my balloon blower. My balloon blower has much pressure, but this also tends to work out really well, especially for smaller succulents. This puffer tends to work out really well. The next gardening tool that we have is also related with the cleaning tool. This is a soft bristled brush. The bristles of this brush is very soft, so you can very gently, if you want to do any kind of cleaning, if there is any dust, dirt on the succulent leaves, you can very gently clean it off. Again guys, be very gentle. Do not put a lot of pressure on the succulent or on the succulent leaves. The leaves might break, so be very gentle while cleaning the dust off your succulents. This will work out really well for succulents that do not have a farina, but if the succulents have farina, then you can use the puffer. Now guys, the last one is the water bottle. Now this is basically a 250 ml of water bottle. Works out really well. It has this thin nozzle on the top, and this nozzle makes watering really easy. It even helps you reach out to those tight spots wherever the succulents are compact. Now because the nozzle is really thin, it goes very close to the soil and tends to water. So with this, it becomes much easy to water. You do not have to be worried that the water is going to splash on the leaves, because remember, we do not want to water our succulents on the leaves or on the succulent. So this water bottle is going to work out really well, especially if you want to water in those tight compact spots, then this is going to work out really well. Now in fact, this water bottle will also work amazingly on your leaf propagations as well. Remember, we tend to use a syringe, so if you do not want to use a syringe, this water bottle will work excellent. It has a very thin nozzle, exactly like how the syringe has, so the watering is going to be very easy. Now I'm not watering it because I've just recently potted my succulents, but you can get an idea with this. So apart from all these gardening tools, you'll also get a pair of tweezers. Now the tweezers are of two different kinds. One has this curvature at the end. So basically this will work out really well in case if you want to do any kind of cleaning, especially if your stem is infected with mealybugs or scale insects. So then you can dip the cotton in rubbing alcohol or in hand sanitizer and then just clean the stem. So this will work out really well in case if you want to do any kind of cleaning. But with these tweezers, you can even clean and pull out the dry leaves as well, so it works out in both ways. So this is another type of tweezer that comes. This has a much pointy edges. It becomes much easy to get rid of dry leaves with the help of this tweezer. Now guys, as I said, it's very important to clean the dry leaves, otherwise they can house a lot of mealybugs and other pests. So I think this pointed tweezer will work out really well in getting rid of all those dry leaves and doing a proper maintenance and routine cleaning of your succulents. So guys, this was all about the gardening tools related with succulents. I hope that this video was helpful to you. If it was, please hit the like button. If you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing to it. Until then, take care, stay safe and keep propagating.